This show is all about showcasing the people making a difference in our Chicagoland area, and we've been fortunate to talk with so many of them on Get Down to Business every Sunday at 6 p.m. And this week is no different. In fact, this week we are thrilled again to have an in-studio guest. We have Jerry Witkovsky, who is a mentor to many, many thousands of individuals, generations of families. He's been in leadership roles in the Chicagoland area. Many of our listeners may have heard your name over the past several decades, and we're just thrilled that you're here in studio to talk about something a little bit different, but something very, very important. Jerry, you wrote a book. Welcome to the show. We're excited to talk to you about The Grandest Love. Thanks for joining us on Get Down to Business.
Thank you very much for having me.
So, Jerry, let's jump into it. Tell us a little bit about your experience and how that led you to author a book.
I was worked for the Jewish Community Centers for 47 years, and it was never a job for me. It was always a passion. I loved it. There are times at night I couldn't wait to get back to work. So in that experience, I worked with many grandparents and many grandchildren. But the key was when my granddaughter, when I picked her up from school, and I said, "So, Katie, how's school?" And she folded her arms and looked me straight in the face. "Grandpa, I'm more than just a student." And what that did was to help me open up, what is Katie's life? And what is she? I don't know much about her school life. I know family life, but what is her world? And my book is to really focus on how do we enter our grandchild's world? And that's the focus of my book. And I created several ideas in the book that I want to share with you. One was when I talk to grandparents, they say, "What's my living legacy going to be?" And I say, "Don't die until you're dead. Develop a living legacy. Teach your grandchildren values. You're going to leave them valuables, but teach them values." So I created the idea of 3 jars. I gave my granddaughter, when she was bat mitzvahed, 3 jars, and I promised her $15 a month for a year. And the jars are tzedakah, which is charity, saving, and spending. And the vision I have, or the idea I have before the 3 jars, the tzedakah jar was teaching her, how do you develop a sense of kindness? How do you help people? How do you help your family members? How do you help kids in school? So, and then how do you contribute to the charities that you want to contribute to? The spending jar deals with, you're responsible for your own happiness. How are you going to decide what you want to spend money on? And also that there's an independence when you have money. You can spend your own money. You own it. And the savings jar was really, how do you develop a vision for what you want to save money for? What is your vision? Your parents always tell you save money for college, but you have an idea what you want to save it for. It could be a bike, it could be clothes, it could be anything. But I wanted to teach the idea of vision. So behind my 3 jars, those are the ideas, the values I was trying to teach. Another thing I developed in my family is the Witkovsky Living Legacy Foundation. The board, it's not a legal foundation, but I call it that. And the board of directors are all the grandchildren. I wanted my grandchildren, their siblings and cousins, to stay connected. And how do they stay connected? And the idea was that they were to share their dreams, their passions, what they're thinking about with each other. And if it costs money to do that, they would have to approve that that you can get money from grandpa or from the family to what you want to do. So the idea was, I had one grandson that went to Vassar, and some professors decided they wanted to take their students who wanted to go down to the border between Arizona and Mexico to learn what's going on there. He needed $1,800. He applied to the Living Legacy Founded, the board, and they asked him all kinds of questions, and they decided, okay, Grandpa and the family can give him the $1,800. But he had to share that. The other piece to that is when you come back, you got to teach us what you learned, so that there's a learning and teaching culture in the family. And I discovered that when I was the director of the Jewish Community Centers. They all knew I was the boss, but I wanted to find out, my job was to unleash their creativity and their passion for their work and for service to kids in camp, nursery school, daycare, all that kind of thing. And I wanted them to teach me. I'm the boss, okay, but teach me. Tell me what I'm doing and how I can be more effective. And they said, "What? I can tell you what you're doing wrong?" I said, "Yes. It's not necessarily wrong, but teach me. My commitment to you is to teach you. Your commitment to me is to teach me." So the learning and teaching culture that I developed in the agency was also, I had it in my family as well.
Well, that's a fantastic message for our listeners. First of all, learn from each other, which is great. And I love that sort of foundation that you set up and that it sounds like you are a partner in that work with your grandchildren, and that's really exciting. You listen. You listen to what they do in school. You listen to what they want to do as they spend, as they save, and as they give charity. And Jerry actually brought in studio a little gift for me, which I really appreciate that. I'm looking at those 3 jars, and that's a lesson that everybody listening to the show should sort of take to heart and learn from at whatever age you're at. First of all, you could always learn from somebody, and hopefully you have that somebody in your life, whether it's a business mentor or advisor, but family. Family is so important for your business. Family is so important. Hopefully your grandchildren have big aspirations. They should dream big. And hopefully I know that they have somebody really good to look up to that sort of helps them craft that vision, but that vision is their own, and hopefully they're going to go, they're going to reach where you were at, and they're going to surpass you in many ways, and they're going to find ways that they're going to sort of live the dream, as we just spoke about with Deanna Shaw. So many words of wisdom and such great advice for, again, I view pretty much anything like this as entrepreneurship. Entrepreneurship takes its form in so many different ways, and whether your grandchildren and any of our listeners, grandchildren or children or perhaps people that they might call their mentee, are considering going into business, you have to have a vision. You have to have a dream.
Let me give you a business idea. This is a study that came out of the Metropolitan Life Mature Foundation. They did a study that in 2010, there were 60 million grandparents. Projected in 2020, there will be 80 million grandparents. Now, you put together the idea that we have unconditional love for our grandchildren. We want to share our resources with our grandchildren. $60 billion a year are spent on grandchildren for medical issues, day camp, summer camp, college. So that if you're looking at a business opportunity, think of the grandparent and grandchild as a business opportunity. The passion that's there for your grandchildren. They want to share your life with your grandchildren. You want the grandchildren to share their life with you. And how do you enter that world, their world? In my book, there are 50 letters that grandchildren wrote about what have I learned from my grandparent, and they are very touching. They're wonderful stories. My granddaughter, who I gave the 3 jars to, she said, "Grandpa, you taught me how to manage my money." What a value that is.
Sure, and that's great that you're able to share that lesson, not just with your own family, but also with the world at large. And it's fantastic that you wrote the book. I actually had a chance to read the book during my few minutes of quiet time over this long holiday weekend over the past week, and really enjoyed it. And now I have the jars to bring home, and hopefully I'll be able to pay it forward, as we always say on this show, pay it forward and share that message with somebody else. So in about a minute, we'll share your website and make sure people can find the book online. But Jerry, you've been in communal life, you've been in professional life for a long time. What advice do you have for listeners of the show to, again, as I always say, turn their dream into a reality?
My advice for people is to really don't be afraid of your passion. Don't be afraid of your love. Don't be afraid of creating ideas and engaging family together. My family meets twice a year, Thanksgiving and Passover. And they say, "Oh, Grandpa, you're going to have us have a meeting again?" And my grandson, who just was ordained as a rabbi, said, "Yes, Grandpa's going to call a meeting and we're going to discuss it. And the agenda is, we lay out the agenda, but not be afraid of that."
At least they know what to expect. I love that. That's great. So, Jerry, how can people find your website? How can people buy your book? And how can people contact you?
They can buy the book on Amazon. Just go on Amazon.com, and you can find the book that way. And on Amazon, you can go into the pages of the book and stuff like that. And it's Jerry Witkovsky, the Grandest Love. .com. That's
fantastic. TheGrandestLove.com. Check out this site. Check out the information. Jerry, your bio's up there, and I think people will be fascinated to learn more about your rich experience. And again, most importantly, how you're using that experience, using your passion, and teaching family and friends alike how to sort of live that and share the love, which is fantastic. Check out the website. Visit the book. That you could actually, as you said, browse the pages on Amazon.com. And you're all over social media as well. So on the, I know people can sort of find that information and read reviews of the book as well. So after the break, we're going to be talking more about entrepreneurship. But what a fascinating conversation with Jerry Witkovsky, the Grandest Love. Thanks for coming in studio. Looking forward to continuing the conversation. Remember, you can get on my website, shalomklein.com, download podcasts from the show, from this segment, find out more information about our events, programs, resources, and opportunities. ShalomKlein.com. Follow me on Twitter @ShalomKlein. After the break, more small business, jobs, and entrepreneurship.